The Jacob's ladder is a popular technique that gives the appearance of a three-dimensional braid that lays on top of your fabric. In today's video, I want to share how to work the classic Jacob's ladder as well as the more modern version of this iconic stitch. Both are super simple to do, but do have their own unique pros and cons, so I want to show you both of these so you can decide what suits you best. To work the classic version, we're going to be working with bunches of double crochets with chain links in between. This is going to create a ladder effect, hence the Jacob's ladder. Those ladders will later be turned into the chain links, which is really important to know when you're measuring that initial chain. So first determine how wide you want your finished project to be, and then double the width. So for example, let's say you want to make a sample that is 10 inches wide, then you're going to make your initial chain 20 inches wide. And that's because everything's going to shrink in once you take those chains and form the loop that creates that braid effect for your project. To use this method, we're working with a multiple of 12 plus 7. The little sample that I'm doing here, I'm going to do 3 batches of 12 chains plus 7 chains at the very end. Adding a slip knot to my hook, I'm going to do 43 chains. Remember, you're creating a chain that is at least double of what you want the final project to be. Now we're going to be working in batches of 5 double crochets. Working into the 4th chain from the hook, create a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. The chain here on the side does serve as your first double crochet, so we essentially have 2 so far. We need to make 3 more, 1 in the next 3 chains. Create a chain of 8. Skip 7 chains and work a double crochet into the 8th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Be very careful with your tension here. This can be a bit tricky. Takes a little bit of crochet gymnastics. And now 4 more double crochets, 1 in each of the next 4 chains. Remember, we're working in batches of 5 double crochets. And we're just going to repeat this all the way across. Chain 8. Skip 7 and work your next double crochet in the 8th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And continue doing this all the way across. You should have 5 remaining chains to work your last batch of 5 double crochets. If you don't, I do have a little tip or hack that you can try. And I'll go ahead and add it right here. You can remove the slip knot here and add more chains or take them away. And that's your first row completed. Now, if you like, you can continue on with the same color if you've got a variegated yarn. But if you do want to change color, you can decide now how often you want to do that, after every row, after every couple of rows, whatever design you want to create. Use whatever color changing method you like best. I'm going to use the one that I like the most right now. I'll go ahead and add a link to it at the top right corner of this video so you can check it out. Turn your work. This is a very easy 1-row repeat. We're just going to continue what we just did. We're going to do 5 double crochets with a chain 8 all the way across. Create your first double crochet however you like best. You can chain 2 or 3 to serve as your first double, but I'm going to show you the stacked single crochet because it gives a really nice straight edge. But essentially you just go into the very first stitch with a single crochet. And now go into the sidebar, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops to create your second single crochet. That's a stacked single crochet, and this is giving you the height of a double crochet. And now just do 4 more doubles. one in the top of each of the previous double crochets. Chain 8. Skip over to the next bundle of double crochets and continue on with the sequence. When you reach the end, be sure to add that last double crochet there into the chain space to make sure that you have your 5 double crochets. And then you're just going to continue this row after row until you reach the height of the project that you want to make. Once you've reached the height of your project, it's time to take your chains and turn them into braids. So don't fasten off quite yet. You want to hold on to this because once you've made your braid, you want to do one final row to hold it all together. I'm going to quickly weave in these ends. Okay, that's much better. So now we're going to take the very first chain and twist it and then work the rest of our chains into it to create our braid. Now, if you're working with thicker yarn, you could probably do all of this with your fingers, but I find a crochet hook works a lot better for me with this weight 4 yarn, so I'm going to use it. But for the very initial chain, we want to twist it, and I'd recommend that you use the same direction for all of them so that it looks nice, clean, and consistent. It's comfortable for me to go from right to left, so I'm just going to pinch it and twist and take my hook and go through. And now I'm just going to take the next chain and pull it through that loop I made. And continue on all the way up. Just grab the next chain, pull it through. Next chain, pull it through, all the way up. And notice here it went from about 10.5 down to nearly 6. So nearly half, not quite, but nearly half. Okay, add your hook back into the yarn loop, turn. We're just going to continue on with double crochets like we were doing before. So I'm starting with a single stack to create my double. I'm working in the 5. And when you come to the loop, just go ahead and do a single crochet into it. Go into the loop, pull your yarn through it, and create your single crochet. We're going to skip across to the next batch of 5 double crochets and continue on with the sequence. Back to the loop, go through the loop, create a single crochet, and continue on. There's your next batch of 5. And now you can fasten off. But we're not quite done yet. We still have the base here that's looking pretty wonky, so we're going to fasten back on and straighten that out. I'm just going to do single crochets across. I'm adding a slip knot to my hook because I'm going to be doing a standing single crochet. So find the first double. Let's go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a chain loop here, so I'm just going to go into that chain loop, pull my yarn through, and create a single crochet. And now working into the next doubles, 4 more, just a single in each. Now this is pretty wonky. I've played with a couple of different things, but I found the half double crochet 2 together worked really well for this. To do 2 half double crochets together, that's going to create 1 stitch to work over this little area here. So to do that, begin a half double like you normally would, yarn over. I'm going to go into this side, pull the yarn through. Then I'm going to go over to the other side, go in, pull the yarn through. I have 4 loops on my hook and yarn over to pull through all 4 loops. And then just continue on with a single crochet into the top of the previous doubles. And I'll show that half double again. Yarn over, go into the first side or gap and pull your yarn through. Go into the other side, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Find the first double crochet for this batch and continue on. And here's my last area. I'm just going to go through the whole stitch to create my last single. And now you can fasten off or continue on with your edging. So what are the pros and cons to this method? First, I'd say the pro is that it's a very easy 1-row repeat. You can practically go into autopilot with this one. It's a real pleasure to work on. A con for me though is the measuring and the inaccuracy of it. Here it's pretty easy since we're just working with maybe a blanket project, but if you're trying to incorporate it into a more detailed design, that's going to be a lot of practice, trial and error to figure it out. The other thing about this one to keep in mind is it's going to be a little bit more wonky. As you can see, with pulling in everything to create your loops, the edges do not lay nice and flat. So with this method, you're probably going to have to block your project. And that leads to the other con of having to fasten on and off to straighten this edge. And it's not completely straight yet. It's going to need another edging to really pull everything together. But having said all of that, the 1-row repeat is super easy to do, so it makes it very enjoyable to work on. For the modern version of the Jacob's Ladder, we're going to be working with a multiple of 5 plus 2 at the very end. For this sample, I'll just do about 20. And 2 more to complete my chain. Just like before, we're going to focus on 5 double crochet increments. So working in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4. Add a double crochet. That chain on the side does count as your first double crochet, so we've done 2 double crochets so far. We need to do 3 more to give us our total of 5. 3, 4, and 5. We're going to go right into a chain, and we're doing a chain of 10 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we're just going to do a slip stitch into the top of the double crochet below. There's a bar here and a bar here. Just work into those and do a slip stitch. You'll notice here we've done more chains than the classic version. That's because it's going to have to reach up further to link together. And now we're just doing 5 double crochets in the next 5 chains. And again, chain 10. And slip stitch into the top of the double below. And just continue this all the way down. For row 2, we're just doing single crochets, so turn your work. You can chain 1 and then single crochet if you like, or you can just go right in with your single crochet, completely up to you. And now we're just going to do a single crochet above the previous doubles. So I've done 1 so far, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can clearly see the double below. Now we're on the back side of our work. We want to push that loop forward. We want it to stay on the front of our work. And we're going to continue on with our single crochets. Here's the first double of the next batch of 5. Just go ahead and work into it with your single crochet. So that's 1. We need to do 4 more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Push the loop forward. And now here's your next batch of 5. Just place your single into it and continue on. And don't forget that little chain area there. Add a single into it so you don't lose count. That one is very easy to lose right there. You'll have something that looks like this, and this is your 2-row repeat. You're going to do your double crochet and looping for 1 row, and then just single crochets for the 2nd row. If you want to change colors, I would recommend that you change colors every time you start your double crochet loop row. Just use your favorite color changing method. Bring in your new color. Turn. Just like before, I'm going to do a stacked single crochet because it gives such a pretty straight edge. Working into that very first stitch with a single crochet. And then another. Continue on with the sequence of 5 double crochets. We've just done 1. Let's do 2. Chain 10. And just like before, slip stitch into the top of the double that you made. And continue on with the sequence all the way across. Easy peasy. When you reach the end, turn your work and add a single crochet into the top of every stitch across. Again, make sure you get a single into that very last stitch. Make sure that you have 5 on the side. And that's all there is to it. And again, if you want to change colors, this is a good time to do it. We're getting ready to do another double crochet loop row. With this version, you can go in and thread those chains, but what I found when I do this, they still come undone as I'm working. So you can give it a go. Maybe they'll stay for you, but they won't stay like this for me, but it would be a great time saver if it did. Continue doing this until you get to the height of the project that you want to make. You want to finish on a single crochet row. So I'm just going to quickly weave in my ends, if only, right? And now we're ready for our very final row of double crochets. So just like normal, I'm starting with a single crochet stack. Start your side with whatever double crochet method that you like. I'm just going to work my double crochets across just like before. Okay, I've done 5 double crochets so far. We're just going to skip over the chain. We've still got 5 areas that we can work into in between those chains. And now before we work on our final single crochet row, we're going to feed the loops together. Now because these are chain 10 loops, these are very easy to just feed through with your fingers. I'm just going and pushing it through the middle. Okay, and now going back to our single crochet row, we're just going to do the usual drill of singles into each stitch across, but we have to remember when we hit the 5th one, we're going to catch that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, I've done 4 single crochets so far. I'm on my 5th one. I'm going to go into the stitch, and I'm also going to put my hook through the top of the loop and pull the yarn through all of it, and then create my single crochet. Go across 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go into the 5th double. Grab the top of the loop, go through it, pull the yarn through all of it, and single. And essentially you're done, but what you might want to do, if you want the bottom and top to match more neatly, then I would recommend that you go one more time with another row of double crochets to give it more of a complete look. That's what I'm going to do here real quick. And that's all there is to it. Now the pros to this, there are a lot of them. The number one for me is it's very easy to measure and figure out your sizing. You don't have to take into account the shrinking of it. It's a very easy 2-row repeat. Not as mindless as the original version, because if you're not careful, you can accidentally forget to do those chains if you start rushing through the process. What I also like about this is I didn't have to fasten off and go back over the base to make everything look the same. I was able to do that all in one go. If you enjoy designing your own patterns, I think this version would be a lot easier to include as a design element. So let me know in the comments which version you prefer. Have you tried either one of these or maybe both? I'd love to get your feedback on this and what your experience has been with them. Well, hello, I've been wondering where you were. Did you just wake up? Okay, Loki's woken up from his nap, so that's my cue. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.